Are we live? Okay, I said 30-ish minutes, okay? I didn't say exactly 30 minutes we'd be live, okay? I said 30-ish. Are we live? I never know. Okay, are we live? Yeah! We are. I have this microphone because there's some echoing and stuff going on that I don't need y'all to hear. Is that annoying? Should I just hold it? Okay. Can you hear the wind? There's a lot going on, so I'm trying to make it better noise for you guys. We have a loaded episode today. Ooh, sorry, that was loud. I even scared myself for a second. I'm trying to edit this really quick so that I can have all of these links available for you guys, because I'm going to put these links so that you can follow along, so you don't just have to believe me. We can share together. I figured it out. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about, sorry, I can't multitask. Give me 1 second. We're going to be talking about how Paul has a lot in common with Keith Raniere. Have no idea how to say his last name, but he is a cult leader of Nexium who was just convicted. Let's read what he was convicted for, yeah? Okay, we have those in the description box now. I think I already posted it to my Instagram story, but Keith Raniere was convicted. He was arrested. Keith Raniere was arrested for a pattern of racketeering. He was convicted of a pattern of racketeering activity, including human trafficking, sex offenses, and fraud. So we're going to be talking about him because he has actually, I've been diving so deep in the Nexium cult, and because there's so many parallels in the Nexium cult and the cult that I was born and raised in, and because Keith Raniere is actually a lot like my cult leader, well, ex-cult leader, and we're going to be discussing. Hi, how are you guys? I'm so excited for this one. Excited for you guys to be here. So we are going to start with word salad, okay? So when I was diving deep into all these videos of Keith Raniere, I'm just going to say Keith, okay? There was a lot of videos of him being interviewed, and he did a lot of word salad. And word salad is, if you guys remember when I would talk about Brother Paul, I would walk into a meeting with Brother Paul, we'd walk in with questions, and then you'd walk out with even more questions, because you'd be like, wait, what? Because he would use this tactic called word salad, and I have a link in the description box down below. That's the first link, is the description of what word salad is. And we're gonna read it together. It's basically a way for people that are narcissistic to gain control of a situation. Did I really just exit it out of it? Dang it. Maybe I can find it in here real quick, actually. I know I took a screenshot of it somewhere. There we go. So, and you may know people who talk like this that aren't even cult leaders. You may know people that are very, just wanting to gain control of the conversation, just wanting to use this as a tactic to be manipulative. So word salad in narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by a mix of unrelated or loosely related words, phrases, or ideas which may be used to manipulate, confuse, or maintain control of the conversation. This type of speech may be a defense mechanism employed by someone with NPD to avoid responsibility, deflect criticism, or maintain their sense of superiority. So I have linked down below an interview. It's a long interview. I couldn't even get through like 10 minutes of it. But it's Keith Raniere, Keithy boy, having an interview with Allison Mack, who ended up being another one of the high-ranking, in the Nexium cult. So she's interviewing him, and it's just a bunch of word salad. It's like, and even the comments are like, this is like, sounds like a drunk couple talking, like thinking that they're coming to conclusions, but it's word salad. It's that he's deflecting questions. And honestly, if you can master word salad, you can come off as somewhat smart, because he uses a lot of educated terms. And I've noticed that when he would talk to a lot of his members, then they would just nod their head because they don't understand, but he's like trying to seem superior with his word salad. So Paul does this too. And if you watch my video, maybe I should have linked that, but if you watch my video, which is a recording of Paul on stage, for like, I think I have a 50-minute video of him talking. A lot of it is word salad, and he has his little notes to keep him on track. But when you do your personal one-on-ones with him, every time I've been in one, which isn't a ton of times, but every time I have been in one, it's word salad. And the interesting thing with word salad is when a member is seeking answers, this is why you will see a lot of the times when I was growing up in my cult, there would be people that were like, I know that Paul is the man on the watchtower and this church is true because I prayed the other week for a specific answer for this specific thing, and then Paul talked about it on stage, and my prayers were answered. And the thing is, when you're in this cult and you're seeking these answers and someone's word salading at you, there's so much things that they're going over back and forth here and there, neither here nor there, but it makes it if you're seeking it, you're going to find it in that word salad. Because it's there, it's a jumbled mess, and you'll find it, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, this place is true. And that's why even Keith, when he's talking to his followers, they'll start crying and feel like Allison Mack's like, you hit it on the head, like, yeah, you're speaking to me. And I think in his brain, he's like, yeah, okay, let's roll with that. But it's just a manipulative tactic to gain control. And another thing that Keith said, which I couldn't find the video to this. I've been watching so many videos, like hours and hours of videos, but one of the videos was saying that this person told Keith, hey, these people aren't really wanting to join. They're skeptical. They think that we're brainwashing. They think that we're manipulating and we're a cult. And he's like, well, we don't want people like that in our Nexium anyways. We want people that are, willing to jump in willingly. Basically what he was saying is, we want people with their guard down. We want people that are willing to trust easily. And that's the same for all cult leaders. They want the ones that are willing to blindly follow. They want the ones that are willing to trust. And you know what's crazy is usually those ones that are willing to jump in, willing to trust, willing to fall, and just dive into it are usually the ones that are like, I'm not being manipulated. I would never join a cult. Because they're so headstrong in believing that they could never be manipulated, which is false. Everyone is capable of being manipulated. The second you say you are not capable of it, you're being manipulated right now. Right, motherfucker now. Oh, sorry, I meant to say motherfucker. Oopsie. Anyway, so where was I going with that? I startled myself. Being manipulated right now. Brainwash. I lost it. I was onto something. But basically, yeah, to be someone who believes that they can be susceptible to being brainwashed, you are less likely to be brainwashed. And these cult leaders want people who are less likely to believe that they would be brainwashed because they're easier to brainwash. And they're also walking in thinking like nothing bad's going to happen, right? And those are the ones where... And that's why, too, when you watch a lot of these documentaries, they're like, I walked in thinking it was such a great thing, and then they walked out realizing it was a terrible thing, and it was so shocking, right? But you want to believe that you can trust. You don't want to believe that there's people out there that are acting like this. And it sucks that you have to be weary of people like that. But just noticing the signs, too. I think if we can make it more public... To know words like word salad, like that's a new term that I haven't heard of. Word salad's a real thing that people use to manipulate and control and try to use any conversation to their benefit. And so just being aware of terms like gaslighting, terms like word salad, terms like all of the terms under narcissism, and starting to notice when someone's doing that. And what cults do too. And I was talking to my sister about this the other day. What cults do is they kind of play on our narcissism, right? Our ego and our wanting to feel special. And they kind of love bomb us and make us feel seen and like, oh, but you could be in the kingdom of God upon the earth. You're chosen by the Lord. So they play on that. You're God's favorite. And it feels kind of good. We're like, yeah, I am God's favorite, actually. And then you want to feed into that. And I think that's also why it's so hard for them to admit that they're wrong. Because then they have to let go of that pedestal that they've been put on, which is hard. It's hard to fall off that pedestal. Which leads me into my next point. Oh man, breathe, Amanda. Are you okay? So there's a loyal follower of Nexium. After Keith went to prison for what I have just told you guys about, he got 120 years, I think. There's a loyal follower who still vouches for Keith to this day. Okay, and he argues, and he's like, they're trying to defame him. They're trying to claim he did things that he didn't do. I left a link of the interview down below, and his name is Marc Elliot, and it makes sense why he's such a die-hard fan, because he supposedly had, I didn't do too much research on him, but he was one of the ones who had Tourette's, and Nexium cured him. So can you imagine that? Like, it's a life-changing thing to have happen to you, so you would want to devote a lot of time to this cult. But he claims that it's not a cult. He claims that, I have those links down below, and I even have the Wikipedia thing that says Marc Elliot was even trying to sue what is the show called, The Seduced? Seduced is like I think it's 1 or 2 seasons about the victims of Nexium. And he tried to sue them. He did a $12 million suit, and it got thrown out. But that's how diehard these cult members can be, and this is how order members look. Any order members that are watching me that are trying to be diehard for Paul, watch that. Watch this guy vouch for Keith. Just watch him. And maybe you don't want to. Maybe you were like, I'm nothing like him because I'm actually in the true kingdom of God and you're from Satan. Maybe you won't listen to any of it, but some of the common arguments that order members have that I do want to bring up, if there is any order members that are here, one of the biggest things, I'm just going to say right now, call y'all's out for being a hypocrite. G, ABC Order Centers. ABC Order Centers. A is for appreciation. G. G. You guys know what G is? G is for the golden rule. I will treat others how I would want to be treated, right? I will treat others how I would want to be treated. But I'm going to go ahead and live polygamy and have multiple wives, but my wives better not have multiple husbands. Whenever I would ask that question, I felt like I was going crazy, because I'd be like, Dad, why can't I have multiple husbands and you could have multiple wives? And they always laugh in my face. I'm like, but the golden rule says treat others how you want to be treated. And you don't want to be treated that way, obviously, because you get mad every time I bring it up. You feel disrespected when I put you in the same category as your wives. Interesting. So you got to do something, or else you're a hypocrite. 1, you either got to let your girls marry some more boys, so it's equal, so you are treating others how you want to be treated. 2, stop living polygamy. Or 3, stop preaching the golden rule because you're not living it, okay? Argue with me all you want, you're a hypocrite. If you're in the order and you're going to say that we do live the golden rule, but polygamy is also specifically, I'm getting mad. I'm going to throw hands. This girl from the order, we were really good friends. She started living polygamy, and she tried to tell me her explanation for living polygamy is that we as women there's certain things that we can only learn by living polygamy. Jealousy, not to be jealous. She was listing these things off that women learn, but the men don't. So naturally, I was like, okay, so you're learning all these things. What's he learning? She was silent. Okay then, shut up. Oh, it pisses me off. Why do the women have to learn all these things and the men just get to run around doing whatever their PP wants them to do? Interesting. So interesting. Another argument they have, which my mom has said, multiple people in the order have said this, even other polygamous cults have said this too. They brought this up at rallies too. They'll have it on their sign, it's such a good point that I'm making. They will say, if gay people get to be married legally, then we should too. First of all, 2 gay people getting married consensually is different than a man wanting to marry his wife's underage sister, who's also his niece. How do you not understand that that's 2 completely different things? I feel like I don't even need to explain more on that one, because it's obvious that those are 2 completely different things. And like people saying that polygamy should be something that is accepted by society. As I said before, golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. Any relationship where one person is allowed to do things that the other person is not allowed to do, like having multiple sexual partners, but the other person has to be loyal to them. It is a power dynamic struggle that it doesn't work that way. If it's equal, if y'all can marry y'alls, if I can now marry my husband's brother, okay then. But you get so offended by that thought, by the thought that I do the same thing that you're doing. So yeah, another thing, just gonna throw that one out the window. Incest isn't actually causing deformities. This is an actual argument that they have. The government made it up so that we wouldn't be doing this. There actually is no proof or evidence that there's any, because they keep wanting to say that inbreeding in the order actually creates stronger genes, which is like, what, where? If you've seen the video I made with Catherine, she flat out says that she was gonna have a 50% chance of her babies coming out deformed, and that's why they were pushing abortions. That's why the leader literally has a list of how many wives, or how many people, how many women are getting abortions. And one of them, well, I don't know how many, but there's at least one that is his own wife. One of the many that is on that list because they were so closely related that the baby was gonna come out deformed, and so if you're gonna sit there and tell me that incest doesn't exist, then what are you talking about? We already have people coming out proving that wrong. Next argument. Okay, another one actually, I don't even want to talk about this one. Actually, no, it is a good point because this was an argument that I grew up with. It was just an annoying one. So my dad would say, and multiple boys I grew up with would say, and of course they're going to vouch for it, they would say, well, multiple husbands wouldn't work because how would you have, like one man can have multiple babies with multiple women. And so like if it was just you would only be having like multiple men's babies. Like it doesn't make sense. Like the way we want it to work, we want to spread our seed, blah, blah, blah. Here's my argument to that. So we actually you guys should switch it up. You should Uno reverse, and you should do one woman to multiple men. Because one, you guys have a lot of single men that aren't getting married, so that would fix that problem for you. You're welcome. Two, babies would have an army and grow up wealthy, because now you have multiple men going to work to actually support their kids. That's awesome. Next one, the mother would have more help and not be stressed. That's awesome too. Children would actually have father figures, many of them. So many father figures, you guys. You'd be prominent roles. Men could focus more on work and themselves rather than having to go to all their wives' houses, you know? They could have their day with their wife and then 10 days to, think and like read the Bible. You could read the Bible and actually understand it. Oh my gosh, that's probably why you guys don't understand the Bible, is because you're so busy. That's why you're misinterpreting the don't sleep with your siblings thing. And you're sleeping with your siblings because you didn't read the don't part because you were so busy with all of your 27 wives. Silly you. Men could learn not to be jealous. The same, I don't know, I spelled it wrong in here, so I was like, wait, what is that word? Yeah, men could have more time to serve the kingdom of God as a numbered man. Could even afford to get, I typed this up when I was mad. Could even afford to get that bald spot fixed. That's mean, Amanda. I have some anger towards these numbered men for sure. They could fix the underage issue, the underage marriage issue, and less women scarcity issue, because it would be one woman to multiple men, so the underage issue wouldn't be a thing because the older women could just marry them all off, Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, they argue too that they're not sexist. We're not sexist, but women can't have numbers, they can't lead the church or have voices, and there's a lot of victim blaming. Oh, I cannot stand this argument. Tom Green said this one. It's like, the reason why they marry young is because if a woman has a period, a little girl, okay, let's not even call her a woman because it's a little girl. If a little girl has a period, then she's capable of being a number. One, okay, so if babies have legs, then why aren't they walking right when they're born? If babies have legs, then they should be walking. That's how it feels. Like, if you have this, then you do that. They don't walk till a year after they're born. Also, you have a married woman. You have married women. Oh, yeah. You have married women off. Sorry, I'm reading it off now because I'm kind of losing my spot and train of thought. They marry women off who haven't started their period yet. Like I had friends who had not even started a period yet and they were getting married off. So it doesn't make sense to me. And you know what? You guys have eyes, but apparently you're not seeing things. You guys have brains, but apparently you're not thinking. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I have one special little treat because the racism thing is such a huge argument that they have. They have publicly said that they are not racist. I have argued with them about, yeah, you guys are racist. You say the N-word every other letter. Is Val here? If all they care about is bringing down the spirits from heaven, just let her have multiple partners. May the strongest seed weed out any deformities. There you go. And here's the thing. If the women had multiple husbands, they'd still technically, all the women would be getting married. They would just have multiple daddies. There you go. And it would actually probably be easier to bring men into that. And then you could build your kingdom. We have a recording of a numbered man, the lawyer for the order, discussing basically being racist on stage in church. Number 14, let's turn the time over to him. Everybody clap. Just kidding. Because everyone in the order wants to say that they're not racist. They only marry in the 12 tribes of Israel, and that's the way the Lord wanted it. Okay, whatever. Let's hear it from a numbered man himself, if you don't believe me. If I can find it. Hello? Tell me if you guys can hear this. Wait, where is it? Right here. Oh, wait, sorry. I have to turn you guys off really quick because you're playing in the background. Uno momento, uno momento. Where is it? Right here. I'm just going to silence you guys for a second. Which is okay. I've been silenced my 17 years of my life. You can handle 5 seconds. Okay. I'm going to have to see if this will actually work. Hang on.
But back again to this bloodline. Now, the reason that it's important, and the thing that caused me to do some research on this, was, like Brother Fred brought out, that if we read literally the account given in the Pearl of Great Price, the Book of Abraham, we learn that Egypt was founded by Egyptus, the daughter of Ham, who they did have a curse. And as Brigham Young and some of the other early leaders of the Mormon Church said, if you have as much as one drop of that blood in your veins, you're cursed from holding the priesthood.
He goes into further depth talking about it, but basically he's talking about, from my understanding, he's talking about the Book of Mormon, where it talks about the curse of, so Laman and Lemuel, right? There was a curse that was black blood, and that's what they taught us in the order, was the black blood. The Laman and Lemuel specifically, I think, is... Native American bloodline, because it was in the Americas, right? But this is another thing that doesn't make any sense, is that if it's Native American, my heritage, supposedly, this is what they told me, I was brought up to believe that I was like a fourth Native American, because Price Johnson married a 100%, either Price Johnson or his dad married 100% Native American. So if they believe that the black blood is coming from the Native Americans, but they're marrying in them, because my dad would be that bloodline, and my dad's sisters all married into the leadership. Like Jesse married a bunch of them, David married some of them, Jason married, so they all married half sisters, right? So all the sisters married half brothers. So if that's the black blood, then does that mean that all of your kids can't have the priesthood? but they're a numbered man. Anyway, my whole point in that is to say you guys are contradicting everything you teach you're a walking contradiction. And I ask, I don't think anyone from the order will listen to me, but if you do, if there's some piece of your brain that's turning like, wait a minute, she's onto something, please just watch some of the links that I linked down below from another cult, because sometimes it's too hard to see when it's your own religion. Because I didn't even call it a cult when I was in the order. When people from Escaping Polygamy were calling the order a cult, I was like, even though I was out of it, I was like, and they would be like, wouldn't you say it's a cult? And I'd be like, I guess. Like, that took a long time for me to understand that's what I was born in. And so maybe don't look at it as a cult. Don't look at it, the fact that maybe that's too hard of a pill to swallow. Maybe look at Nexium. Look at the followers that are still vouching for this leader, even though he's in prison. Look at the FLDS. Look at the followers that are still vouching that Warren Jeffs is going to get out of prison. I just know it. It's coming around the corner. He's coming around the mountain. Here he comes. It's easy to look at them and be like, oh, ha, ha, ha. It's a lot harder to look at you and be like, wait a minute. Maybe I need a change. And it's because it's so hard to admit that maybe you've been wrong. And we all have as human. And it's okay. Oh, ghosties in my house. Just kidding, it's the wind. Anyway, sorry, I can't see the chat now. Give me a second. Let me circle back to you guys. Sorry, I wrote so many notes for this, and I can't believe I've been talking straight for almost 30 minutes. Sounds like a title from a movie, The Curse of Black Blood. It would be interesting to see the DNA trails of the polygamous cults. It's so true. And who was I talking? I feel like I just talked about this, how a lot of people in the order obviously believe that black blood is so bad, but also FLDS some FLDS believed that once you left the FLDS, then your blood the DNA would be black blood. That's how like deep the racism was going. Native Americans were Lamanites who were Jewish per the Book of Mormon, but not really, as the DNA has proved that they were wrong, and why LDS Inc. moved away from the teaching. Interesting. They are rather blinded historians. I know. I'm like, where are you guys getting your facts? I guess from the Book of Mormon. Thank you, Crystal. I chopped it short, and I every time I do this, the first few days, I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Even in the chair at my hair salon, she was like, do you like it? And I was like, I love it. It was hard for me because it was such a shock, but I'm starting to get used to it. So thank you for the compliment. I needed it. Right? That's the thing, is like, why were you guys so racist? Like, the Jamestown guy had it figured out in the beginning because he was like, yeah, we accept everybody. I'll take money from all the y'alls. Like, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want but it's like the racism runs so deep. And that's your example of word salad? The teachings of Brigham Young came from the Journal of Discourses, including that one drop rule. I read that on my brain cleansing away from LDS. Yeah, and a lot of younger generation LDS people will not believe in any of that, but if you look deeper, it's everywhere, especially in Brigham Young's teaching, that they did not want anyone with dark skin to have the priesthood. But it's weird because a lot of people will say Joseph Smith actually didn't care about that, but it was when Brigham Young came in. A lot of people still vouch a lot for Joseph Smith, but will openly say they don't like Brigham Young and still be like Mormon. But I don't know, to me it doesn't matter. To me, the things that bother me about the LDS Church is that it seems like they keep trying to hide things, and that really pisses me off. Also, the stuff about the LGBTQ community. there's a lot of things that they're doing now, because I'm at the point now where I'm like, every part of history is corrupt, but if we can be honest about the history, we can move forward to better things. The more we try to cover it up and try to justify it, then it's just going to repeat. History's going to repeat itself. So just own it and move on. Even, hello, Amanda. Hi, Raquel. This is the first time I'm catching your live. I chopped my hair off today, too. Ooh, hair twins. I know, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I finally did it, and then I regretted it instantly, but then today I was like, okay, it actually is starting to grow on me. So, kind of. I'm still wearing a hat. I consider chopping my hair, but I can't let it go. I know, because the way that I've always gotten myself to do it is I'm like, you can always get a wig, you can always get extensions, it'll always grow back. And then it always helps me to feel better. There have been times where I chopped it and then I did get extensions because I couldn't handle it. So it's just a way to yeah. What did you say? I considered chopping my hair, but it was Jonestown. Oh, yeah. You always look good, Amanda. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I definitely have been trying to be kinder to myself with my looks, because in the past I've been so overly critical of my looks, especially when you start doing YouTube, when you start staring at yourself all the time and seeing yourself talk all the time, you can be your own worst critic, right? Like hearing yourself sound and it's a constant battle to try to be complimenting yourself, especially when you came from a household like mine where they were picking apart every piece of me for my entire childhood. And so sometimes that voice from my childhood comes back and is like, you're ugly. And it's important to just not listen to it. Your hair is super cute, though. Thank you, Sarah. I mean, I wouldn't care where the money came from as long as the check clears, we good. I'm just saying, haha. Wait, what? I want to chop my hair because of the humidity coming. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going shorter because of the summer is coming. Hitler liked the one-drop rule, too. Of course, he made exceptions, too. Yep. This is why I think the order doesn't really teach much about Hitler, because there's actually a lot of similarities. And if they were to teach that Hitler's a bad guy because he did that, but then we're doing that, wait a minute. Some order members look up to Hitler, though, and they'll do the swastikas by their house. Not a lot, but I have definitely seen it on order property. Given that there's so much child abuse happening, is it possible to involve federal child protective services and put the child abusers to prison? So there's been multiple times where people have tried, and people are still trying. If you guys remember the story of Rachel, we talked about this on Escaping Polygamy, where she was reaching out for help, and they kept sending her back home to the abusers, and she ultimately ended her life. So it's been an uphill battle with all of this, because I think that Utah's, I think there's multiple reasons, because on A Little Bit Culty, Sarah asked the same thing, why isn't anyone doing anything? Well, that's a very good question, because there's definitely people reaching out, screaming for help, and I think that it's a factor of things. I think it's that Utah is still ran by Mormons and religions, and they try to keep the kids with the family, and they try to act like it's the kid's fault, not the parents'. They focus on the kid being a problem child and the parents can do no wrong, and they are very family oriented. So there's that, and I think it's also that the belief, I honestly think there's a lot of higher ups in the polygamy that are in cahoots with the higher ups in the Mormons, because when I would talk to older generation Mormons, they would tell me, yeah, we're living polygamy in the afterlife. So I could totally see how they would find some wealthy higher up Mormons that are in cahoots with them, but they also have their fingers in all of these little avenues of the judges that I believe that they pay off judges in court cases. I believe that they've paid off police officers. I believe that, because there are specific police officers and specific judges who always side with the order. Interesting. There's also been rumors that they have been paid off, because there was, quote, maybe I should quote this because I didn't hear it directly from the source. I heard it from someone who heard it from someone. But this is what I heard, was that when the raid happened, there was someone that they had been paying in the higher ups that let them know before the raid happened, the federal raid, and that's why a lot of the evidence was destroyed. So it's like they have people in high places, and when you have a lot of money, you can do that. Like Paul has so much money, and he's still collecting the money, and this is why I get so mad when people in the order are like, well, I'm not a part of it, I actually don't agree with what Paul does, I just want to be a member. Do you pay money towards him? You do agree with it then. Maybe you're saying you don't agree with it, but you're giving action that you are agreeing with it, because you are giving money so that you can support what he's doing. Make your actions in line with your words, okay? So either say, yes, I support it, or don't give the money and support it. How many full siblings and half siblings did Ellen Kingston have in total? All the siblings I know of are... Wow, you guys be doing your research. CPS is such a joke in my opinion. I know. And I think that it's better in some states than other. Also, like the fact that there's some states that are making it illegal for child marriages, that's great. Those states are awesome. There's a lot of states that still aren't doing that. And I think it's heavily to do with religion. Eldon had 5 full siblings and 8 half siblings. Good job, Jenna. I didn't even know the answer to that. So yeah, I need to just hand the microphone over to Jenna whenever these questions come. Because also when I was doing my interview with Catherine, the last interview I did, the 2-part, you guys should go watch it, was so good. She talks about, she wrote a book, and she talks about her, having DID, dissociative identity disorder, and not realizing it till later in life, talking about her childhood in the order and how she escaped. But even as she was telling me things I didn't even know, because like, how would I know them, right? They weren't taught to me, but it was also like, it's so hard to keep track of my own, like my dad and all of his sisters, and then all of the half brothers, and then who else is my uncles and aunts and cousins. So I don't really know much about Eldon's kids and which ones come from Eldon's kids. The LDS don't really want to come out strong against it because it would reflect badly on their own beliefs and foundations. Utah is still controlled by the LDS Church. Yeah, I think that that's a heavy part of it. And the fact that it's... I lost my train of thought, sorry. I just read that comment by Adrian Summers. Been looking at Kingston's on Find a Grave. Why are there so many kids hit by cars? This is a topic that I've thought about doing an entire video on. The fact that the death rate in the order for kids is extremely high. Extremely high, and it's because multiple things. One, they're breeding the women like cattle, right? Having them have a baby every single year. And the women can't take care of these kids. Like, it's way too many kids. It's child abuse and child neglect, and abuse on the woman too, to be like, okay, let's go, next one, miscarriage, who cares, go get another one. Even like how I was hearing that Daniel didn't care when Shirley was pregnant with twins, when the first one came out and the other one was having complications because at least he got one. Like, they're so dehumanizing to these kids that the kids are just a number to them. They're just like, where can we put this kid in so that I can profit off of? The fact that they marry off even the ones that have Down syndrome and really, really severe cases of autism that are undiagnosed, by the way, they still marry them off to grown-ass men who are like 50-something years old with multiple wives that can't take care of them, force them to have kids. And then who's gonna take care of the kids? So yeah, the death rate is really high because of neglect, and because also a lot of these are kids having kids. They're kids that, there was a time where the order was trying to make their own formula, because I think during COVID it was, I don't know if it was during COVID, or there was a scarcity on formula, so a lot of members were trying to make their own with honey. They were putting honey in the baby formula. Do you guys know what honey does to babies? This is, the crazy thing is that the order high demands of having children, yet there's no parenting classes on how to keep these kids alive, especially when they're kids having kids. How are you going to expect your kids to just know not to feed the baby honey? You didn't teach them that. They're still developing their brain. So yeah, the topic of the babies dying gets me really, really pissed, because it's also There's those factors that kill off the babies, and it's really sad that the young kids are being undiagnosed things too, not taken to the hospital, all that other stuff. We could go on and on and on and on. But on top of that, they're abusing the kids. They're taught, from what I remember, they are taught that once a baby is 6 months old, they can be obedient. And so a lot of people were taught to slap their kid until they stop crying. And the kid's gonna keep crying because they're in pain. So then they're abusing the kids, and there have been deaths due to severe abuse. So whenever the order's like, Amanda, why don't you just move on? Because you guys are still doing this. Could you move on? Could you move on when you saw your family going through all of that? And I get it, when you're in there, you're like, it's not that big of a deal. I get slapped around all the time, not a big deal. Good for you. You have no empathy. Pisses me off. Not supposed to give sugar or honey to babies. Yep. I think once they hit is it 2? See, I don't even know. But see, if I had a baby, I sure as heck would. What is this? Get off. I'm saying heck, like I didn't already say fuck in this video. Heck. Hopefully they don't freaking demonetize me. Freaking quapping heckin'. I'm surprised. Oh, look, there's a helicopter. I'm surprised there's not comfrey in the formula. I know, at this point. Ironic they want a bunch of kids for their workforce but don't give a damn about them. No empathy for the children. Yeah. I wouldn't move on either. Good. You guys validate me. Okay, so this is all answers all my questions. Yes, Tirsa. What happens with Rachel Kingston's daughter? Did they marry with the order? Rachel was on Doris Hanson's show more than 10 years ago, and she said her ex has full custody of them. Rachel. Well, who is she married to? There's a lot of Rachel Kingstons in the order. I love Doris Hanson. You know, she asked me to be on there, and at the time I had a really hard time with being in Utah, and I was like, I really want to be on there, but I think I scheduled something with her, and then I was like, I can't be in Utah anymore, and I left. But does she still do it's Polygamy, What Love Is This, right? I've looked up to her. She's awesome. They talked so bad about her in the order, though. She just can't move on, but they would still watch her. It's so interesting how they're like, and me too, they're like, man of this and man of that, and then they go watch my videos. Like, do you get off on it? I don't know. Because me personally, when I have an issue with someone, I don't really subscribe to them and give them any time of day. But maybe you guys like being upset. Oh, hi Jane, I miss you too. Did they offer vaccines to babies and kids? Not when I was there. I was, and maybe, I know that a lot of them are anti-vaxxers. Maybe my mom did vax a couple of her kids. I can't remember. But my mom was also born outside of the order. But they are big anti-vaxxers, because I do remember when I went to school, public school, and they were doing flu season and flu shots, and I had to fill out a waiver that said I'm not getting the flu shot due to religious beliefs. I remember this happening. And I didn't understand how shots even worked. I didn't understand why everyone was talking about their shot, and they had like band-aids on their shoulders. I didn't get it. And I just was like, okay, this is weird. Because no one in the order, I don't remember there ever being a flu season where everyone got flu. I remember everyone getting the flu and still going to church and spreading it. They believe, I think, in like survival of the fittest. Val says, when I'm depressed, it's probably not healthy, but I isolate and try to change my mindset. I have the same issue, and I wonder if it's from growing up in an environment where when we were depressed, we couldn't share it without being shamed. We couldn't share our emotions and feelings without being shamed, so it actually protected us to be isolated, because trying to find comfort and seek comfort would just make make fun of us. People would just laugh at us, right? We would just become a laughingstock. Or being insecure or vulnerable, it was giving them a key to hurt us, right? Or to manipulate us with it. So we were safer to go isolate. So I do this still. I literally just did this. I isolated for like 2 days, didn't answer calls, and I felt bad because it was like, I don't want my friends or family to think that I don't like them or I'm trying to ignore them, but I just physically felt like I was a virus. And I didn't want to like bring them down with me to where I was. And maybe that's also comes from our upbringing where like, you know, you don't want to focus on the negative. You only want to focus on the positive. I think there was like just masking emotions was a positive thing. And so you're supposed to come your best self everywhere you go, even though like that's not physically possible. But this is the reality too, is like if I were to reach out to Val, for example, if I was to reach out to him and say, hey, I'm kind of depressed right now because of X, Y, and Z, I'm sure he would be happy to talk about it. And vice versa, if he were to call me and be like, hey, I'm kind of depressed because of X, Y, Z, do you have a second to talk? I would be glad to talk about it. And then by the end of the conversation, we both would probably feel good. But the problem is, we have these things, which I believe are from childhood and from so many times being, shut down, turned down, rejected in our time of needs, in our most vital, crucial moments of growth. So now we resort back to those habits of self-isolation. But I will say sometimes, and maybe this is still a toxic belief from the order, sometimes I do feel like I need a little bit of isolation just to process. Because like there's a point where I'm talking and I love this public going out and getting to know you guys and hear. I get your guys' notes, we compare notes, and then I get to isolate for a second and see which ones I really resonate with and which ones I can change for myself. Like I've decided now this is something I don't resonate with anymore, and I actually liked their perspective. I feel like there's a mixture of both, right? To make sure that you're still being true to yourself, and then you can still go out and socialize. There's a lot of times where I'll socialize, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, you know, I told them this, but I don't know if I fully agree with that. It's like self-reflection. It's easier when you're in isolation, but depression and isolation, I don't know how healthy that is, because I definitely feel like every time I get isolated and I'm depressed, it almost feels like I spiral. So all I knew about Rachel was that she had 4 children with her ex. Unfortunately, her son died in a car accident. The order wanted to make sure that no one outside the cult knew about the death. Why don't I know who this is? I'm going to look it up because I know that Doris Hansen has her episodes on YouTube. I think you can look up Doris Hansen, What Love Is This? Maybe I'll go do that now. This has been a really good live. Like, I was really excited about this one, and I'm really happy to hear all of you guys. You guys always make my day. It's really important to give yourself time to process, but it has to be healthy time. That's the hard part. It's too easy to spiral. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If I can find that episode that you're talking about, I'm going to sneeze. If I can find that episode that you're talking about that was Doris Hansen with Rachel Kingston, I will try to link it down below so that if anyone else is curious who she's talking about, we can maybe discuss it next week. Maybe we can get her on here. I'm pretty sure most of these people are in Utah, though. And man, last trip to Utah was a cluster futhermucker. Bless you. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to go. I have to, as soon as I'm leaving, we have Cults the Conscious. Amanda, we love you. Looking all sexy over there. I love your hair. Oh, thank you. I did it just for you. I've been talking to Cults of Consciousness, so Shalise and Jonathan, about going and visiting and maybe doing some order episodes. Some really good. We got some good people that are finally ready to share, who have some really good information that's fresh out, like fresh 1-2 years out of the order. Which it's hard to get people that are fresh out willing to talk because it's still so traumatizing. It's still, yeah. Which they're so brave for it too. But I keep telling her, I'm like, I'm just finding excuses to come visit you because these people also happen to live over there. So I'm like, hey, well, it looks like I'm moving in. Move over. But yeah, I love all of our collabs. I was looking at your channel too with, well, even Jonathan was saying like how many collabs we've done. And I'm like, has it really been that many? And I was trying, I counted, but I can't remember how many it was. But there's going to be more. So, and because of Shalise and doing the panel, I was able to meet Sarah too. And that was such a cool experience. Oh, and maybe I shouldn't say this yet. I'm going to be doing a collab with someone else though that was in the panel too. That was such a cool experience. Anyway, I do have to go, but we have a lot of awesome things in the future for coming up, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. You have your own playlist with 20! Oh my God, that's awesome. Dang. I, for some reason, thought it was like 15, but 20. Is that including the panel? Wow. That's exciting. Yeah, and I need another excuse to come see baby Raya. She's so cute. It's been good to see you too, Patty. It's good to see all of you. I hope you guys have a really happy rest of your Sunday. And if you want to go live with me tomorrow on Patreon, we go live every Monday. We might do an earlier live tomorrow. But yeah, we can hang out over there. Thank you guys for joining. Have a good Sunday. Bye, Jenna. Bye, Susan. Bye, Jane. Bye, Lorraine. Have a great weekend. Rest of your weekend. Bye, Shalise and Jonathan and baby Raya. And Mr. Ween. Bye, Casey. Okay, bye. Love you guys. Bye.